Hello, everybody. I'm Paul Ryden. It's been said that our prisons are full of innocent men, prisoners who say, I didn't do it. Now, we roll our eyes at that statement, but in some cases, as with our guest today, it's true. Martin Terrell is here to talk about his book, You're Only Innocent Once, and Once is Not Enough, and his reflective collection of thoughts in Unseen Scars. Welcome, Martin. So glad you could join us today from Port St. Lucie, Florida.
Paul, it's glad I'm happy to see you because I've been waiting on this for quite a while.
Well, good, good. Well, tell us about the meaning of the title, You're Only Innocent Once, and Once is Not Enough. It's something you learned from a fellow inmate while serving time at a medium security institution for a crime you did commit as a teenager, right?
Right.
So what was he talking about?
Well, he was saying that everyone who is in prison that he's met, they always say that phrase to him, that every time they come in, they're innocent. But it's never true.
Well,
It's never true. Because to be in prison, you have to be guilty. That's you've got to be guilty to be there. But it was not the case with me. Jeanette's my wife, and Becky keeps coming up here. And when we got this computer, she was the person who got it originally.
well, that's fine. It's usually the case, right? Either that or
Yeah,
a
but
14-year-old child, anyway.
if you are innocent, particularly if you're a black male, you only have one chance to be innocent. And that's when you're young and you get introduced to the system. But once that happens, you're never innocent again, regardless, because you have entered the system. And once you enter the system, you're automatically guilty from then on. And that's the title of the book. You're only innocent once. And that's it. From then on, you're guilty.
Well, even though it wasn't a full-blown prison, you write that 2020 Auburn Avenue was like a conveyor belt to prison. What did you mean by that?
Right. Well, once you go into 2020, from there you go to what's called Mansfield. And Mansfield is for older graduates. Well, you might call it graduates of Mansfield. And from there, you go to the Ohio Penitentiary. And it's fraternity, so to speak. You meet your classmates there in 2020, and you follow your classmates through the system, and you're one. You are all one. So there's a certain
Mhm.
kindred folk that you come to know. And so if you are not part of that kindred club, when you go to prison, things happen to you which you can get beaten up, you can money taken from you. Uh, it's it's a horrible system. It's a horrible system.
Well, what
Uh,
led to your incarceration for a crime you didn't commit? Now, like you said, once you've been in prison, you're naturally assumed that you're guilty from then on, but you weren't in this particular case. What happened there?
well, in this particular instance, I was the chief counselor at a drug center because earlier I had used drugs. Okay,
Right.
and I was working, and I was going to Ohio State University, and I was coming back from school. I was working part time at the drug center, and I was living right outside of Columbus, Ohio, and in Bexley, and the police came down on me, swooped down upon me, and they got me. And here's what happens. They took me to jail, in the county jail, and from there I went to court. And they, not directly, they offered to give me a sentence, and we'll give you a low sentence uh, if you claim competence and say, okay, I I didn't do the burglary, but I did this. I said, no, I didn't do the burglary,
Right.
so I want to go to court. See, if you go to court, you get assigned a lawyer, and it costs money to have a trial. So I said, I want to go to court. They said, but you have a record. I said, but I want to go to court. So they decided, okay, you can go to court. So I went to court. And because I had been to court previously, it didn't take them long. It assigned me to a lawyer. And the lawyer also said, you better take the deal. I said, no, I can't take the deal because I'm innocent. He said, that's not the way it should go. I had to trial, and I was quickly convicted and given the maximum sentence of 6 to 25 years. And there it was.
Frustrating. Wow. Well, it's interesting when you write in your book about how you wrote that as you drive in the bus through the gates into prison, you move from freedom to freedom from. Explain that.
Yeah. Well, as you go through those gates, um, your your freedom is your freedom to do things is no longer. That's gone. Uh, your freedom from being able to do as you wish is no longer there, but you got a freedom to do some other things. It's just it's so I can't really explain it like I wrote it.
Mhm.
It's
Well, people are going to have to buy the book to find out, because you were talking about the freedom to do whatever you want. And now you've got the freedom from, actually, it sounded like a lot of your personal responsibility was taken away, and
That's it.
other people were, thinking you're going to go here, you're going to go there, you're going to eat here.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
It's gone.
yeah. Well, with that sort of forecast for your life as a foreseeable future, you say, once you've been uh, in prison, that you're going to be guilty all the time. Well, with that as forecast for your foreseeable future, what caused you to look to the days and years ahead with any sort of optimism at all, which apparently you did?
Here's the thing. There was no sense in looking what had been done to me,
Mhm.
because around me some people were saying that, but I had to look at, forget that. I had to look at what could I do for me, not what they had done to me, in order to get the best out of the situation. There was only one thing I could do, and that was to find out what could I do for me, and forget what they had done to me,
Mhm.
and to find out how I could get something for me.
Well, how'd you do
And
it?
that's what
Because
I tried to do.
you became very successful after that, after your release, including your role as an assistant dean to the College of Arts and Sciences and Development at Ohio University. Were you surprised that someone would take a chance on you?
No, not at all, because the programs that were offered there, there was a hand in glove um, program that they had with Chillicothe Correctional Institution,
Mhm.
and the leadership at that institution was just unheard of. I had never seen anything like that, and uh, I wrote a proposal to the director of corrections and asked him to do some things uh, for us. And the cooperation was there. And when I met some of the professors from the university who came down to teach us, uh, I was just overwhelmed by the cooperation there, and the staff who worked with the college. They were so encouraging.
Mm-hmm.
So that what was going on at the prison made me feel that, like, okay, you're here. Maybe you're meant to be here,
Yeah.
and that to heck with the situation that brought you here. You're here now, and maybe this is where you need to be.
Well, that's a
So
great
make the
attitude.
best of this.
It's a great attitude. What inspired you to write this book?
Well, when I got out and worked for almost 22 years, I retired, and most people retire and they're good at golf and they do something. There's something that I wanted to do. And I was a major in journalism, and so I'm kind of keen on writing and sharing my thoughts.
Uh-huh.
And I had done some of that, so I said, why don't I try to write and share what I went through and some of the things I have learned, and because I have spoken about some of those things, and so I said, let me try to get some of this on paper, and that's what drove me to write some of this.
What are
And,
you Yeah, what are you hoping readers get out of the book?
well, Paul, I just hope that they find some way of looking at a broad spectrum of not just, I'm not unique. I want them to see that
Mm,
I'm not unique, that there are other people like me who are experiencing things because of a wider society that is maybe overlooking things that can be dealt with in a different way, and they need help. Uh, People need to be assisted to find ways to deal with things that may be against them. That
mm,
you're only innocent once. That's what the book says,
right.
and once is not enough. People need to be given an opportunity to deal with the things that are being against them.
Right.
They need something need to there needs to be a handout because not everybody is capable.
Yeah. Well,
And
let's hope this book accomplishes that and gets people to take a look. The other book we were talking about is Unseen Scars, and I asked you if you would to read a favorite passage from there, and I know you've got a lot of them. So read what your favorite one is, and we'll close it out from there.
you know, yeah, this one, Paul, has gotten a lot of interest.
Mhm.
Um, will I recognize justice when I find it? Maybe justice is a small town hidden away like the Emerald City, where the wizard of justice lives behind the screen, shaking everything up and making lots of noise, keeping the game the same and just changing its name, abracadabring ghettos into inner cities. Hasn't changed anything, but the description of poverty is still the same. The unemployable are still the underclass. Some say justice is a gated community south of Neverland, with a clubhouse at the 19th hole, but nobody that I know lives there. they couldn't get past the gate. Because everybody who lives in justice looks like everyone else. And none of them look like me. Justice's citizens keep injustice alive while judging the rest of us and keeping most of everything for themselves. This proves justice isn't really blind, she's just myopic.
And that is a sample from Unseen Scars. The other book is You're Only Innocent Once, and Once is Not Enough. They're both available on Amazon, and I trust other places. Martin, thank you so much for joining us today, and best of luck with the book.
Thank you very much for having me.
You bet. And thank you, folks, for spending a few minutes with us on the Global Book Network. I'm Paul Ryden. We'll see you next time.